taking on a multi-billion-dollar international company as one paper mill in Alabama is just a really hard thing to do. Getting what they can and going back into work.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We have been covering pretty closely the lockout at the West Rock Paper Mill in Cottonton, Alabama. They have been locked out since October the 6th. You can go back and check out our coverage on our channel page if you want to see more in depth. But basically the gist of it is that they were too far apart, and so the workers there voted down the contract that was offered by West Rock, and they said, no, we're not going to take this, even though West Rock was offering a $30,000 buyout of this language. So they were very motivated to get rid of this language. And the workers said no. The workers said, we want to keep this language. We, maybe this $30,000 makes us whole for this one contract period, but we know that you're not going to give us $30,000 in the next contract period, which is only 3 years away. And so, we can think a little bit more long term than that. We are, we are intelligent actors, right? Self-interested in all of this. And so they said no. We're going to vote that down. We think you can do better in a year where, immediately after West Rock had made more money than they ever had in the company's history. They made so much money that, if I recall correctly, the calculations were that if they just gave half of the profit to the workers, they could have given everybody a $30,000 bonus across all 50,000 global employees, right? With just half of the profit from 2021. I mean, it's just insane that they were trying to do this, trying to take from these Alabama workers what would amount to a 10% pay cut. So it's just really, really gross behavior from this company. So the workers said no, and the company locked them out. After voting on contracts 4 different times across this lockout, they accepted the most recent offer last week. It was on January 31st, I believe, is when they held their vote, and they did vote to accept it. They voted to accept this contract. And the contract, the difference between this contract and the last one is that, so on top of the 2 or 3% raises that they were getting in the first contract, which is way below inflation, they got a $1.50 an hour raise across the board. They're also adding an additional 1% into the employee's 401k account. I think that they made some improvements on their health care instead of cuts, or instead of saying the same, which is good. And they got a $7,500 one-time bonus. WRBL reports that Local 971 President Bobby Watson says that that all of these taken together, all of these additions taken together, approximately make up for the taking of the Sunday premium pay. So that's good news. I think I think definitely, I know that Bobby was looking for more. I know that a lot of people were looking for more. But taking on a multi-billion-dollar international company as one paper mill in Alabama is just a really hard thing to do. So I think that, getting what they can and going back into work, it's certainly not an irrational move on their part. I'm hopeful, and I saw some discussion in the comments when they announced this on their union's local page. There was some discussion about, 3 years will be here before you know it. We want to make sure that we're ready, next time to get what we left on the table. And so I do hope that they, that there is and this is what Bobby was saying to me at one point when we were talking over the course of this lockout, that the West Rock meant this to really destroy the union and break it up, and and that he feels like the three locals in that mill are more unified than ever, that they're more militant than ever, more, antagonistic towards the company than ever, right? Which is ultimately going to be good for the union going forward in contract negotiations. I hope, and I hope that a lot of that these folks will, in the next round of contract negotiations, they'll be able to do more planning and more coordination between the other West Rock locals, right? Because that's what it would really take to bring the corporation to its knees, is multiple mills going out on strike together. Right, that's what it would take, and so here's hoping. They've got 3 years to prepare for the next round of contract negotiations, and I know that there's going to be a lot of motivation there on their part to do that. Something that I want to do here in the next few months is get on the program some people that were involved in a lost paper strike in Maine in 1987 to talk about some lessons that they learned from that, and maybe lessons that and obviously talk to some of these paper mill workers in the coming months. I've got that real news piece that was going to be coming out, that was going to be a little bit longer, about the lockout. It's going to be transitioned into a people's history of the Mart Mill lockout. So looking forward to that. They return to work on the official return to work date hasn't been set. I think they're going to stagger the return for people, and it's going to be towards the end of February. So. Very, happy for these folks that they're going to be able to get back to work. I know that 4.5 months without a paycheck is incredibly difficult, and they showed a lot of courage and a lot of fight, and they won some things, right? They won some things, and so that's really good to see.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.